Hey guys, welcome to the F90 channel. Today, as you can tell from the title, we're doing something a little bit different. We're doing an instructional video on how to drive the manual mode in an automatic car, either by the paddles or by the shifter here at the center console. So why are we doing this? We actually had someone request a video, so thanks to Adam, who requested the video, and if anyone else has any requests, we'll definitely be happy to oblige for sure. By the time this video goes live, the S4 will be gone by then, so there's no other videos I can do from the S4, but we'll make sure we have some other content in there, but the S4, I'm gonna wave goodbye to it. So why am I doing this video? Well, thinking when I was younger, I think we as car enthusiasts sort of think or figure out by playing games or reading articles or watching movies, whatever it may be, on how to kind of operate a car and kind of how the revs work, and kind of figure out where you're supposed to shift and what works, what doesn't, just over time. And we don't really realize how some people, they might want to have a little bit more fun with a manual mode when they're driving automatic, like, oh, I really want to play with manual, but they're a little too scared to try manual. When I was younger, sometimes one of the stories actually I heard is that someone said, I'm shifting at 6500 right at red line, I'm going first gear, then all I use is first gear around town. I'm like, why are you only using first gear around town? He's like, well, Need for Speed shows me that that's what a perfect shift is at 6500. So that's, and we as car enthusiasts, we know that you don't need to do that. You could shift earlier than that because you're just driving around town, you're not flooring it anywhere, you're not racing or anything. So I think a lot of people definitely want to try the manual mode in their automatic cars. They're just maybe scared. They don't want to break anything. They don't know what to do exactly, and they want to make sure that everything's fine. So they just don't really try it out, and they just leave it in automatic, which is fine also. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the S4, and then for a later part in the video, I'm actually going to switch to the AMG just to show something a little different in what happens with the fail-safes with the car. Okay guys, so let's get started. Okay, so let's get acclimated to the controls that we have for manual mode. So for instance, on the steering wheel, some cars have this, some cars don't. You have paddles mounted either on the steering wheel like they are here, or they're going to be mounted on the column, kind of where your turn signals are, as well as your wipers. So as you can see, this is on the steering wheel, so it moves as I move. The pedals are here, and they're kind of small. So some people get extensions, but now I'm getting ahead of myself. So you have two paddles on either side. One has a plus, as you can see here, and one has a minus. So plus means gear up, minus means gear down. So when we start off in manual mode, the cars are smart enough. You don't have to control a clutch or anything, as you just have brake and gas. It's just like an automatic, except you control where basically this needle shifts, if that makes sense. So you can see it says M1. So for the S4 specific, it means manual 1, meaning I'm in first gear. And then when I drive off and as I continue to shift, it says, second, third, fourth, fifth. And since this is a ZF auto transmission, that means I have 8 gears or 8 speeds. And that means the maximum gear I can go to is 8. Okay. So that's up here on the steering wheel. And then we also have our gear selector here too. So you can control, most cars have here, you have park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then some cars you'll have, actually most cars now probably have this, where it's just plus or minus. So instead of having this, some cars have steering wheel, or they have paddles here, a steering wheel in the column, as well as a selector here, or sometimes you just have the selector here. So you have plus and minus. So usually what you do for automatic, let's say you're parked, you put it into, let's say you're in reverse, you put it down into drive, and then that's how you drive. And most times if you want to drive manually, you have to push it to the side, either to the right or to the left, depending what car you have. And then here you can see the same thing that we had on the steering wheel. It's plus or minus. So minus going down for down in gear, plus up a gear. As you can see, I'm not, I could press the paddles, nothing really happens, because the car knows that, I'm in first gear, I'm not doing anything. So the cars are smart enough, and they have fail-safes built in there so you don't wreck anything or break anything. So I have plus and minus here. Sometimes these cars have it reversed, so they have it rally style, where when you're flooring it, it's plus this way where you have to pull back, and it's minus that way, meaning down a gear the other way. So it's just reversed. I personally, when I had the Evo, I had it reversed, and I like that much better, just because when you're accelerating, you're already getting pushed back, so it's easier to pull back. But some people like it the other way because it feels like you're reining in a horse, where it's opposite, but to each their own. So now that we have that set up, let's get out on the road and I'll try to show you what the first steps are, then what happens when you floor it, and then what happens, let's say, you might be thinking, well, what happens if I'm here at red line and let's say I miss it? Let's say it goes too fast and I forget to hit the paddle, or I forget to hit the selector here on the bottom. What happens then? And what do you do with downshifts and the like? Okay guys, so we're gonna start off. I have this in manual mode, as you can see here, M. So most cars are gonna have a little either a screen somewhere that it normally says A, or this is gonna be sport, or there you go, D for drive. That's how long I haven't driven automatic for. But then you put it into manual and you have a little M somewhere. So that's gonna be somewhere in the car, probably up here somewhere on the screen where the speedometer is. So let's just put it into individual because I just like driving that way. So when we set off, let's say I start rolling forward, I'm moving, but not, you know, I don't have to shift any gears, I don't have to do anything. So it's just moving, just a regular car. So as you can see, the revs go up, I'm giving it gas, but it's not shifting. So normally in the automatic mode, I usually shift around 2,500, 3,000 RPM, but here nothing's happening. So I could just go, give it gas. I'm not even really flooring it that much, I'm just giving it 25% gas. You're still giving it gas, it's still going. It's just not going that fast because you're controlling the gear. So I can go all the way up to 4, 5. I'm not shifting anything, I don't have to do anything, I'm still in first gear. Now if I really depress the pedal all the way and I floor it, then that's when I get maximum acceleration. So let me just turn around and show you guys. I tried to pick a desolate road, it didn't really happen that way. Okay, so again, I'm driving, first gear, nothing. So when you're driving, you know, you don't want to have that sound behind you. You don't want to be driving on 3,000 RPM because the higher RPMs, the more you hurt your motor, the more you're stressing the motor in a way, not really hurting, but you know, the more you spend your life above 3,000 RPM, the more you're stressing the motor. So what we're going to do is just like the automatic car, we're going to shift around 2,500. So we press up on the paddle and there you go. Now it says M2, manual 2, you're in second gear. As I keep driving and then I want to shift around 3,000, I just press it, now I'm at 3,000. But see, I can continue driving now. I still have the gas, I'm just holding it just so I maintain speed at 27 miles per hour and I'm still going. So now we're approaching a turn here. Well, what am I gonna do? So I'm gonna downshift, so I'm gonna press down on the paddle. You see it goes up to 2,500 RPM. So I'm at 2,000, I press it again, it goes to first. Now usually you don't go to first when you make a turn. First is usually only when you're at a stoplight or a stop sign or something like that. You'll go to first, but most times you can make almost any turn in second or third gear, so you don't really need that. So kind of let's just go over what we had there. Okay, I don't know why, but my camera shut down there on my phone, so you get it from the GoPro. What I was saying is you don't need to go to 4,000, 5,000, or 6,000 RPM. There's no need to. You're not flooring it anywhere. You don't need to pass traffic. You don't need to do anything. So if you're just driving smoothly, you could shift between 2,500 and 3,000 RPM. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can go a little bit over. Nothing's going to happen. It's just that's where you normally drive with, so you don't stress the motor too much when you're just driving around town. The other thing is when you come to, when you go to a stop, so let's say here, we're gonna go forward a little bit. I'm gonna go to second, and I'm also gonna go to third gear. And I'm driving, and let's say I wanna make this turn here. So I'm not gonna touch the paddles, and this is what most modern cars do. I think almost all of them do. Let's say I go to here, I'm gonna go on the brake. The car automatically went into M2 mode, meaning it automatically downshifted for me, and it put it into the second gear, so I didn't have to. So technically you can just drive around, all you have to do is just upshift and then downshift. The car will do it yourself. Unless you need to pass a car, you need to downshift into a lower gear in order to create more power, because as you shift in the gears, that's another thing I'm gonna have to explain. Let me just stop here. So the higher the gear is, the lower the RPM, and you're not gonna have enough power to pass someone unless you have a lot of torque down mid-range, which this car kind of does. So you could pass in really almost any gear, so it doesn't really matter. But most of your other cars, you're going to want to rev out the car, meaning this is going to go and it's going to rev out to 6,500, and that's when you shift, or you know, to 4,500, whatever, how much power you need in order to pass somebody. So you want to be in a lower gear. Kind of, if you think of anyone who rides a bike, you want to be in a lower gear in order to pass somebody. You don't want to be in a high gear. High gear, you're kind of cruising around. Lower gear, you're either racing, or you're having fun, or you're trying to pass someone, or you're trying to make a light, or whatever it may be. You're going to downshift, and that's going to bring the needle up here all the way to around, you know, 3,000, 4,000, whatever. Then you're going to, you know, floor it, and that's when you have your power, and you're going to be able to pass somebody. So let's see, let's do... So if I'm driving around, I want to drive a little bit more spiritedly. So this is a quicker shifting transmission. Some cars downshift into second because I'm taking a turn. Some cars, you know, they have slower shifting transmissions, so you're not going to shift as fast as this car is as a sportier model. It might shift a little slower, but you still get the same effect. And again, downshift. The reason I downshift, you could leave it in third, or for this car in particular, you could leave it in third gear, like I have it now, making the turn. You still have enough power to go out. It's just I got used to driving where I downshift in second gear. Just I got used to that power. So when you drive this way, you kind of feel what car the gear is already without even looking down. If you drive often enough, it's just practice. So you can see here, I'm still driving, but let's say I want to make the car quieter. I don't want to stress the motor anymore. I could just downshift it again, it goes into fourth. I could even go to fifth, and I'm at 1500 RPM, just driving at 30 miles an hour. But I could also, let's say I need to pass somebody, click a couple times, and I'm at 4000. This is where I, you know, floor it in order to pass somebody or make a turn or whatever it may be. So let me show you guys how this works outside of this quiet road, which really not even that quiet, I guess, because I'm doing this at like 5-6 o'clock, so everyone's getting out of work. But I could have went there, but I'll show you guys here. So first gear, you see it's revving out. I shift, now I'm in second, third, fourth. That's it. And you could stay here, you don't really have to do anything. You can stay here at 35 RPM, you could stay a little higher if you want to listen to the exhaust, and you could just, what this affords you the ability to do is you have more control over the car, so you have control over the gear, so I can listen to the car if I want to. If that's how you want to do it. You can listen to the exhaust note of the car. It's also more fun this way because I can select the gear. I can select to be around 33,000, 4,000, or 4,500 RPM and floor the car, and I get more performance that way instead of waiting for the automatic. Let's say you're driving, you floor it to downshift to the gear, whereas here you already picked the gear in order to floor it, if that makes sense. So if you're automatic, let's say you're driving in fifth, it will downshift automatically, so let's say second, when you want to pass a car. But here, since I'm driving in manual, if I know I'm about to pass a car, I can go and downshift myself to second, and I can floor it myself, so I don't have that lag that the transmission usually has. Now some transmissions are really good, they don't lag that much, and you're able to pass people no problem. It's pretty easy, but it just depends on what transmission you have. And you can usually mess around second, you know. So let's see what happens when I'm in second gear, and what happens now. Let's say if I don't if I don't shift that red line, am I gonna do anything? See, the S4 shifts itself. I didn't have to do anything. The S4, once it got to red line, it shifted itself. So the cars have a lot of fail-safes where some of them, like I had the Evo 10, I had the manual version. When you reach red line, it starts bouncing off the red line. And that's just a safety precaution, so you don't over-rev the motor, you don't go to 8,000 RPM. That's just built in with the factory ECU, the programming, so you don't go past that. So it's basically just bouncing off the limiter because it can't go anymore, and then you're just gonna be stuck at that speed until you shift yourself. So that happens. Some cars have that, some cars have this where they shift. Other cars have a type of fuel cut where they kind of slow down a little bit, and then they kind of you know, wait for you to shift, so they slow you down, they draw down the power to allow you to shift. That's kind of a little bit more annoying, to be honest. I'd rather either this or the one that bounces off the limiter. Bounces off the limiter is kind of cool because you get that sound, but this one at least gives you the ability to just keep going, so you could really never mess it up even in manual mode. I mean, I have everything in dynamic, so, and let's turn around over here. These New Jersey roads, man, it's so much fun. Potholes everywhere. Tire and wheel warranty, guys, I'm telling you. So I was saying, some cars like the AMG, it actually has, I believe it's called fuel cut, so where it cuts it higher in RPM, and it'll show you a display that you need to go into the next gear, and it'll just lower the power. You don't get that power, you don't get acceleration until you do shift. Okay guys, so in the AMG now, so just to show you what could happen if you reach the red line in the AMG. Let's see, so we're gonna go pretty high up, and when there's open stretch of road, so it's second, and let's see. So you see it kind of just hangs there. It won't let me, it won't go anywhere, just draws power, stops. It doesn't shift or anything, just stops there until I shift and then it goes. So kind of annoying. I would rather either bounce off or shift itself, but. So here I am, first gear, and I just want to step on it, shift. I could be in third gear like this, and then I could also just floor it. Shift even earlier if I wanted to. And then shift, let's say, go into sixth, and there you go. So don't be scared in a way, guys. The cars have everything built into them to help you. You're not going to break or wreck anything. Unless you consistently drive first gear and you're around 5,000, 6,000, that's how you drive around town. Not only one, are you gonna be annoyed, or you're gonna annoy everybody else. Two, that's not really the right way to do it, because you're making, your first gear is so sensitive in a lot of cars because it's so short that driving around is just gonna be like, you're just gonna go back and forth the whole time. So there's no point in that. You could drive like this, and then if you want to pass somebody, you could just, shift down. Or what some cars have, let's say in this car I have it in six, I want to do a real pass, I hold down the paddle, you see it already downshifted a second for me, and I could just shift for myself. So different transmissions afford you different, quickness or whatever it may be. This car is really good on shifting down. I think it could be a tad quicker. The dual clutches are really, really good at that. The gears are right there. They're really good with the downshifts. This is probably, I think the autos are definitely going to catch up to the dual clutches. I think they're almost there. I think the M5 is pretty much there, the new F90 M5. But if you have a traditional automatic, I'm not sure actually what most of the econo cars now have. They might just be, I don't think they're the slush box torque converters. Sorry, calling it the slush box because they used to be really, really slow. A long time ago, back in the day anyway, maybe a decade ago. Now they might be much quicker, but so that's really all you need to know. The car is gonna downshift itself because it knows. I don't think I've seen a car where you have to do it yourself. In any case, that's I think unless you get an exotic car, I believe maybe Ferrari, Lamborghini, you'll keep it in the gear that you're at, because you also press the paddles back to put into neutral. So maybe I haven't driven one, so I'm not sure. That might be a little different. But for any other car, it's gonna downshift for you. It's gonna do everything you want, and all you have is just control over the gears. So if you want to pass somebody, you can just you can just mess around as much as you want just to get a feel for it. Now I'm in third, but see, now I have peak power, so I don't have to wait for the torque. I mean, sorry, for the auto box in order to keep up. I could just have it, at whatever gear I want to for whatever turn I want to go into. So I don't have to worry about that. See, now downshifted, it went to second. So another thing is some cars have it where it's not gonna go all the way down to first. If you see there, I was still going 1 or 2 miles an hour, it's gonna keep it in second gear. And then it's just gonna start off. If you're a complete stop, it's gonna go to first. That's a given. But just first gear is usually used to either launch the car or just start moving the car, even in manuals with the clutch. Cars like this, you have enough torque in second gear to start moving. If your car doesn't have enough torque, I think it's programmed to just start in first or to downshift in first in those scenarios, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm also going to include the video of the AMG doing the cut at higher RPMs, just to show you guys what it kind of looks like and what the differences are. But really, that's it. Don't be scared. Give it a try. You can go to a road that's a little bit more open and mess with it. You're not going to really break anything. Everything is set up there. You're not going to mess anything up. Even if you downshift too much, it won't. Let's say you're in fourth gear and you want to downshift the second, which will probably bring you like over this RPM, and you'll be around 6,500. It won't let you downshift. So will not let you downshift into the red if that's what you're worried about. So every failsafe is there in order to protect you, or protect the car, should I say, from over revving or breaking the transmission. Okay guys, that wraps it up for the kind of auto manual, whatever instruction video you want to call it. I hope this is really helpful to a lot of you guys who are kind of scared to try manual mode in an automatic car. It's okay. People who are yelling at you or saying, oh, that's not, a car enthusiast, it should be clutch and manual, why are you even playing manual mode? Don't listen to that. Just have fun and worry about yourself, and that's it. But hopefully this helps you out. If you have any questions, make sure you, for sure, definitely put a comment down in the video. Me and the other guys can definitely answer, no problem. And all the fail-safes are there, so you don't really have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about over-revving. You don't have to worry about, oh, am I in the wrong gear, right gear, whatever. You can feel it out by practicing. The best thing you can do is practice, and that way you get a better feel for it, and better feel for the car, and kind of feel what each gear is like and where the power is, and you get a better sense of the car in general, and kind of what your car is capable of, and just having more control over it. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.